Hola amigos, and welcome to another episode of La Vida Verde Podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Human, here at Finca Vida Verde. And my guest today is a Grammy-nominated, world-renowned singer and songwriter. She's a member of our eco-village here, the Tacotal Colectivo, where she just finished building her first off-grid house here in the community. And she's getting ready to release her a new album of all original material. We're so honored to have her here. My very good friend, Cyrille Aimée. It's going to be a great episode. I hope you enjoy. Okay, Cyrille Aimée, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. I saw that you brought your ukulele. Does that mean maybe we could get a song from you later?
Definitely.
Oh, it would be such an honor. Thank you. So I know Cyrille for the last few years. We've become very close. Like, she's one of our neighbors here at Colectivo Tacotal. She comes to Finca Vida Verde often. We have dinners. I love being in community with you, Cyrille. Not just because of like the musical connection, although that's a big one for me too, because I love having musicians here, but also just like because the vibes. We have such a good. So thank you for coming. But let's, for people who don't know you, I know you pretty well. So for people who don't know you, you were born in France, right?
Yeah, in Fontainebleau.
Fontainebleau. And you're also part Dominican?
My mother is from Dominican Republic, and so that was my mother tongue was Spanish, and I grew up mostly in France.
So Spanish was your original language?
Yeah.
And then French secondary?
Yeah, when I started going to school and stuff.
And so English would be third?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow, it's really interesting. Yeah, you're a really great, I know, she's a great Spanish speaker. It puts us all to shame here. Let's see. So I remember a story you told me one time about running away with the gypsies in France. Can you tell us the story?
I grew up in a little village in France out on the outskirts of Paris. It's a tiny little village called Samoa. It's 2,000 people. But it's the village where Django Reinhardt used to live and where he's buried. Django Reinhardt is a legendary gypsy guitar player, for those who don't know. And so every year there's a Django Reinhardt festival in his honor in my village. And so gypsies from all across Europe come in their caravans by hundreds. And they set camp in the fields and just play guitar day and night to honor Django, you know. And so when I was little, when I was around 13, I became friends with the gypsies and just fell in love with their way of life and their culture. And through that, fell in love with their music because I understood their music is exactly the same way as the way they live their life. And
how is that? Like, how would you describe it?
It's very in the moment. It's like a community-based music. It's meant to be shared. It's for everybody. It's not just for musicians, and it's not about having a career or anything. It's like the air you breathe, you know? And so I fell in love with that. And at the beginning, I was not allowed to hang out with them because they have a bad reputation. When you don't know, people are scared of what they don't know. And so, yeah, I had to like escape from my bedroom window and like run to the campsite. And
what's the bad reputation for?
Well,
there's no truth. It's just old history.
There's some truth to it. It's a difficult position that they're in because in order to keep their identity, they have to be nomads, you know. And so there's not a lot of, the society is not meant for that.
Yeah, nomadic culture isn't really.
No, but that's who they are. So they're always like thrown away from campsites and so yeah, the townspeople get scared when the gypsies come in.
I remember being like in the 80s, like when in Ohio, like all the Grateful Dead heads came to town, like in their Volkswagen buses, and my mom like pointing to him and going,
I would be scared.
Look at like there they are, those people. Like I was like, what are they, Mom? The Dead. I was like, I want to go there, be with them. Like anyways, but no.
But it's very insular. It goes both ways. The gypsies, they don't let anyone in their campsite. And the only reason I was in is because I was a kid.
They're not really inclusive.
No, because of so much history.
Right.
But I was allowed because I'm a kid, and also I think my Dominican side matched with them, like the raw energy kind of. And
Red
so,
French or what, like maybe a little more like reserved kind of, or
yeah, and that's the people that they have to deal with most of the time.
Because they're okay.
And so yeah, and then they became my family. Then little by little, my parents understood there was nothing they could do.
Yeah, you're a gypsy now. Well, that's amazing. I love Django Reinhardt, and I've listened to a lot of his music growing up. And so let's see, you tour internationally. I know you just got back from some tours, and you were nominated for a Grammy a few years ago. What was that like? Is that like, for me, listen, Cyrille, as a musician, like for me, being nominated for a Grammy is like one of the like apexes. It's like, it's an honor, right?
Yeah, but honestly, it shouldn't be a goal because it's nothing you can control. It's not really about the quality of the music. It's
right. There's a lot of politics.
There's a lot of politics involved. And I remember I have a lot of albums out, and I remember I would always think, this year I hope I get it. And my manager at the time told me, Cyrille, don't hope for that because you have no control over it.
Right.
And the year I stopped thinking about it is the year I got nominated. And honestly, I found out because my friend called me. She was like, congratulations. And I was like, for what? And she was like, you got nominated. And it didn't really, I was like, oh, cool.
Very cool. And but what was it? It was like, it was an album of Stephen Sondheim covers.
Yeah, I got nominated for the arrangement of one of the songs.
Nice. But still, it's still, I think it's really
No,
cool.
It's great.
And
it looks good on the bio.
It does look good on the bio. I know. There's people watching right now just because they saw Grammy nominated on there somewhere. But you're a professional musician, and I've had that road for a while, so I know that there's a lot of struggle there. It's hard. Like, you're living on the road a lot. Do you find yourself like missing home when you're on the road?
I mean, I have several homes, so I don't really know at this point what home means. But I miss, when I'm on the road, the number one thing I miss is my bicycle. I love my bike. But
where's your bike? I guess
my bike's in New Orleans.
Well, I guess that's where your home is then. I wish it was here though. Let's bring your bike here.
No, but I miss the routine. I miss, and it's all a balance because when too much routine can get old, but it's just difficult to sleep in a different bed every night and not really be in control of what you're eating because you're eating out all the time. And it takes a lot of energy, but the music always brings back all the energy. But that's why I kind of built my life so that I would have this balance of touring, which is a lot of social interaction, a lot of people. You don't have any alone time, and it's hard to be centered. Balancing it with time here where it's mostly alone time.
Right. And it's really interesting, Cyrille. I got to be honest. When I first heard that you were going to join our community, I was like, there's no way she's going to whatever. Like, I thought you were just a nut. We had a lot of people that showed up at Tacotal for years that were like, I'm joining the community. How do I get in? How do I do it? And, so many of them just couldn't. Maybe their lives just didn't push them here, for better or for worse. But like, I was just like, yeah, just another person, like another musician on the road. But you really surprised me. Like, you came in full force. Like, you did.
That's how I do things.
Yeah. Like, you do. I mean, you came in and you're like, I'm going to spend this much time here a year, and you did it. Then you camped here for a few years, kind of like, and then you got a piece of your own house site, and then so you just finished. You're now living in your home. Do you want to talk about what was that process like? You designed it?
Yeah, it was such a big learning experience and also such a creative experience. I started building during the pandemic, so it was kind of an outlet for creativity when there was no shows, nothing going on, and I just poured my whole heart and soul in it. And apparently I have an eye for it. I had no clue, but as I was drawing the house, I could see myself walking in the house. I could vividly see every, door, every wall, where the outlets would be, I guess I have this kind of mind. And so it was so fun, because it was really like, it's my baby, this house. And it's
all natural materials.
Yeah.
And like I know you were coming around here for you were coming around here for a while, like checking out what aspects about my house that you liked, and about Finca Vida Verde you liked, and then other places that you would go, and you just kind of like put them all together.
I learned as I went, because I never done this before. And at first my idea was to build a little cabin. And I thought,
not build a little cabin.
I thought, I don't need an architect. I can do that. 4 walls, a roof. Cool. I can do that.
Right.
And then the pandemic kept going on and on and on. And I thought, maybe I want more than a cabin. And so it just got bigger and bigger. And yeah, it's really a spectacular house, I think. And I have a lot of plans for it, a lot of project ideas, organizing workshops and having musicians come in and teach, kind of like, I did a permaculture workshop here from, taught by Sarah Wu on the land. And I want to do the same thing, but with music, and kind of teach permaculture to musicians, teach music to permaculturists, because that's what inspired me, is the nature inspired my music. And I want to kind of inspire that in my friends, and see how I can bring music out of people who don't even know they have it in them.
That's awesome. That's like, it's totally exactly what, why you're here. I can feel that, like, you fit right in with that, because I think we all kind of share that desire to like bring knowledge that we've gained, and bring it out to people. I know that's our goal here as well, is to like have, host groups and stuff. So, and it's cool though, because we're so close together that we can work together. Like, we've had groups come here and, they stay here, but then they do a concert a night at Cyrille's house, or they make a fire and do an herbalism course at Sarah's house. It's almost like Tacotal at large is like this kind of like, can become a Jedi training camp of sorts. Like, I don't know it's kind of a weird way to say it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I think it's a real community, when you can involve everybody.
And it also brings like an economy for all of us. That's the thing, is like, we're all living off the grid, we're living off the land. Has that been hard for you? Like, have you ever lived off the grid before?
That's what I fell in love with when I came here. I was living in Brad's little cabin at first, and then camping, and I love living with less, and I love having to be very mindful of every action that you take, every movement that you make, and yeah, that inspired me a lot. So, and that inspired a lot of music in me.
Yeah. Well, so let's talk about that. Like, what did it inspire you? Like, if you've started just writing songs and...
Yeah. I built my career on singing a lot of standards, a lot of, jazz songs that I've had the stamp of approval for decades. And so I had a lot of struggle believing in myself as a songwriter for many years. And this place kind of gave me no choice. It's like the songs just come, and sometimes I even wonder if they're even coming from me, if they're coming from somewhere else.
Yeah. The best songs aren't coming maybe from you.
Actually, the title track of my upcoming album, that song came to me 5 years ago after a trip here. And that song talks about the house that I was going to build 5 years later.
The song, hold on, say this again. I need to register this.
So I wrote a song 5 years ago called Inside and Out. I wrote it after having spent a very intense week here in the jungle. And in the song, there's a lyric that says, I will build a house so steady for you to come back to.
Yeah.
I just need a little time.
And now you've built that house.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that 5 years ago, I had no clue I was going to build a house.
Right.
So yeah, this place is yeah.
That's the channeling It's the channeling. And I think the best songwriters, if you watch, and I used to, I was a songwriter for many years. I would watch interviews with other songwriters. Like all of my favorites always said that same thing. They're like, the best songs, you're not writing them, they're writing themselves. Living in Nashville for a while, it was like totally I learned a whole nother way. And it actually, I feel like I kind of almost don't know if I've learned a lot of like skills and stuff and like, techniques and stuff in songwriting, that being there and studying songwriting. It's a whole nother approach though. It's like, there's this way when you're just an open channel and you're letting whatever flow without considering like, oh, how, is this going to go to the hook long? And, is this going to the hook too quick? Or is this going to catch the right demographic or whatever?
And that's
so
why
crazy.
I feel like when I'm here, all of that goes out the window. Because when we're in the city, when we're in the hustle bustle of like fast-paced living, there's so much in our head, but we don't even realize it because it matches the pace of where we are.
Right.
When I come here, first of all, it takes a few days where I'm like, just my thoughts and all the noise is like front and center because it's so much more noticeable compared to what's around me.
Right.
And I'm like, I go crazy. And then I just go through the gunk of it, and it's challenging, it's hard. But then when the noise finally starts to die down, I can finally hear what's inside of me and what's all around me. And it's like a marriage. And that's to me how the songs can come out, because that's how you can be an open channel, is by listening.
Absolutely. And listening to yourself, you mean?
Listening to yourself and listening to what's around, to what wants to. The music is all around us. It wants to happen. We're just putting obstacles in the way and like feeling insecure and being like, no, but this is not good enough. We just have to be open and let the music happen. It just wants to happen.
Yeah.
We just got to get out of the way.
Yeah. I know you're I'm always inspired when I see your, like the scatting, and you're just kind of like the spur of the moment. What are they, and Anna and Joel too, like that, you guys are always like improvising. Yeah. I feel like there was a time in my life where I used to do a lot more of that, and I was very open. Somehow along the way, I don't know if it's from having such a catalog that I've built up and like people, touring and playing the same songs over and over, but I've definitely lost that like freedom.
Oh, you mean?
Not completely. I don't mean that. I mean, it's like, it's true. Like I definitely I remember being like so much more open at times, and it is a little bit sad, but my life has changed. My life has gone, I'm more focused on business and like developing this
farming.
Think of VIDA Verde and growing and planting fruit trees and stuff. And, they can go together, but it's like, sometimes it's like, it's really.
I'm very grateful that you do that because you feed me.
I do feed you.
Feed me a lot.
Yeah, we had a pumpkin.
Oh, man.
The second ever Finca VIDA Verde pumpkin. There was a nice big ayote, como así. Oh, perdón, I keep hitting the microphone. Yeah, no, it was super nice. We had a nice dinner the other night. I really enjoy that too. It's the other thing I love about living in community is just like, I do it with Sarah, with you, sometimes even Chris and Luti come over. Like we're just not that far away. Brad, we all can just, hey, I have dinner tonight. What are you doing tonight? Yeah, I love that.
And on the way, get a jackfruit from the tree. So nice. Right now it's really, I hadn't been here in the rainy season for a while. It's my favorite, really.
I was going to ask you about that because yesterday in particular, we had this like massive storm. And I was like, that tests your house. Those storms are the ones like when it
got wet.
I was gonna say, when that wind is blowing sideways, I mean, I don't think there's anything you can build that will stop that unless you just want to live inside completely.
I don't.
Yeah, none of us. Yeah, exactly. Like you have this really, Cyrille's house, for those of you who don't know, is this really beautiful, open, very open, except for the studio, which is so exciting that you have the very first studio here in Tacotal. So what was it? You used a certain type of soundproofing, or?
I use cellular cement.
Which
is cement, but 10 times lighter because it's filled with bubbles, little air bubbles. And so it traps the humidity out. I also have a dehumidifier in there because I have instruments. I have an upright bass. I have many guitars and ukes, and also it traps the sound, which is really nice when there's all the chicharras.
Does it? Yeah, the cicadas.
The cicadas.
Does it stop them from you don't hear them?
I mean, you can hear like a little bit, but it helps because the cicadas will get in your brain and
Totally.
And it's hard if you can't turn them off.
Yeah. And if you're recording, like there's only, unless you have a room like that, there's just no way. It's like, so, okay, well, that's super interesting. I know we'll have to jam at your studio. One time you can maybe have us a jam at your studio.
Yeah.
Okay. And you want to talk about what you're doing next? You have a new album that'll be coming out at some point?
Yeah. Well, they're all songs that were inspired by this place or that I wrote in this place. And and it's my baby. It's very personal, very, very unique compared to all the stuff I've ever put out because it's all original songs. And when I write, I don't write jazz, I write songs. And so I'm very, very excited. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And so you're going to be touring with doing that kind of music too, like some of your original stuff? Fun. It's exciting. Will you sing us a song?
Yeah, of course. I'll sing you a song that's not on the album because I don't want to give it away.
Okay.
I'll just sing you a song that I wrote when I started building the house. The foundation of the house is cement. And then the rest is all wood. But I just wanted a really strong foundation because the house is on a little hill. And so when I had just started, I wrote this song. So it's called Casita de Piedras, which means house of stone. But really, it's a wooden house.
It's a wooden house.
Yeah.
It's a house with a stone foundation. And bamboo.
A lot of bamboo, a lot of teak.
And bajarreque and clay.
Yeah.
No, your house is amazing, Cyrille. You did such a good job. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
Ready to build another one now?
Actually, I want to build a little guest house.
Okay.
To have, when I invite musicians so that they can have their partner and they can be, chill.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being on our podcast. We're going to get Cyrille set up to sing her song. I'm just going to do the outro right now so that we have it. This is La Vida Verde podcast. So my guest today has been the amazing Cyrille Aimée. Thank you so much for joining us. You can follow us at La Vida Verde podcast on YouTube. We're filming this. You can listen on and make sure you subscribe and like and subscribe. Do that. Smash the subscribe button, and then you can follow us at Finca_Vida_Verde on Instagram. You can listen on anywhere on all your favorite podcast places. You can follow Cyrille. Where can we find your music?
You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, everything at Cyrille Aimée.
CYRILLEAIMEE.
That's right.
Cyrille Aimée.
Cyrille Aimée. But who's counting?
Yes, Cyrille Aimée. And okay, that's it for us. Patreon, if you want to support us, patreon.com, La Vida Verde podcast. And do you have a Patreon? Cyrille.
Patreon.com/Cyrille Aimée.
Support your local musicians. Thanks for joining us. We're going to get Cyrille set up for a beautiful song, and we're going to let her take the outro. So thanks for joining us. Here we go.
Tempranito me levanté sin café. Esperando que el sol me llene de calor y amor. Cansadita me fui al bosque sin razón. Recogiendo las hojas, vi mi corazón volar, volar. Yo te busco y por última vez te pregunto si algún día entra en mi casita de piedras. Yo te busco vez te pregunto si me quieres. Entre cielo y tierra me encuentras ya.
Que sigue.
Allá. En silencio pregunto yo. Sí o no. Si existiera un futuro entre tú y yo, y yo, y yo, mi sonrisa despierta. Con tu ser vuela mi alma de niña cuando tú me das amor, amor. Yo te busco y por última vez te pregunto si algún día entra en mi casita de piedras. Yo te busco y por última vez te pregunto si me quieres. Entre cielo y tierra me encuentras ya. Allá. Con mi cuerpo te digo yo. Lo que siento. Con mi voz y mi canto. Con la libertad de esta canción. Yo te busco y por última vez te pregunto si algún día entra en mi casita de piedra. Yo te busco y por última vez te pregunto si me quieres. Entra en mi casita de piedra.